And I think that's partly due to poor map design of this map. It's literally 3 corridors. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 corridors. I can't count. Hey guys, Orem here again, and I have a pretty great replay here of the Tier 8 50 TP prototype, showcased here by Jonas ZPL. The 50 TP prototype, I talked a little bit about this tank in my last video discussing the IS-5, and this was one of the heavy tanks that I actually recommended over the IS-5 if anyone is in the market for a Tier 8 premium tank or premium heavy tank. And one of the key reasons that I recommended this tank over the IS-5 is the ammunition, the gun, and the armor, right? Although this tank is not as fast as the IS-5, it is a bit more agile, right? The tank traverse is far superior to the IS-5, and the ammunition is, I would say, is better. The alpha damage on this tank is 440, and the standard penetration is 218, which is 3mm less, but is still pretty good. And the APCR rounds obviously are pretty good as well at 245 and 440, albeit not as good as the IS-5's premium ammo, is still pretty good, right? And the ammunition is actually cheaper at around 800, I think it was 880 credits per shot, whereas the IS-5 was over 1100 per shot, right? So you're doing more alpha damage and you have a lower shell cost, so the profitability of this tank is far superior to that of the IS-5. And we're gonna see here, Jonas is gonna showcase this tank's abilities and strengths in this replay. So Jonas decides to take his 50 TP to the 1 line here on this map, and generally I think in the past I would say always go here. This is a very important flank to win, but I think recently I think that there's some other avenues to sort of play this map, and unfortunately he bounces off his FV4202 buddy there. And it's just that the problem with this side and trying to push it is, if you're like the enemies who are trying to push out here, they're in a crossfire between this E25 as well as Jonas and this FV4202, right? So every time they come through and poke out here, they're going to get shot by the E25, and if they look at the E25, they're going to get shot by Jonas, right? So this is a very difficult position to push, as well as if you have artillery just raining down shells, it doesn't help this side either. You're just going to lose your HP and you're not going to win anything. And the same thing for the south side. Even if you push through here and you win, there's a huge kill zone that you have to walk through. You have to push through, where there's good bush cover here, there's some good hard cover here, and there's a good bush here, and so even some positions back here where you can get sniped from, right? It's very difficult to push, as well as a very good defensive position on this top of this hill, right? And I think that's partly due to poor map design of this map. It's literally 3 corridors. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 corridors. I can't count. And that's what makes some of these maps, I think, just not very balanced, right? And Jonas decides to push a little bit further with his FV4202 buddy here. But I think he quickly notices that, you know, this flank has completely fallen. and he decides to retreat. And he even tells his two buddies here, the E25 and the FV4202, to fall back, right? And I think that's the smart decision, right? They're losing over 2,000 HP, and they've lost an entire flank. They've lost the 1 line or the 9 line, and so the smart decision is not to continue pushing, especially if it's down a corridor where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks staring down at you. So Jonas decides to fall back a little bit and goes to the middle here, aiming at the Jagdpanther 2 here, trying to feather a shot here, and gets very lucky there. I think if the shot had gone where he aimed it, it would have bounced off the superstructure of that Jagdpanther 2, and luckily it goes far left, so it actually hits him probably in the upper plate or maybe the side armor and kills him. So Jonas is kind of being a little bit indecisive here, doesn't know if he should go all the way back or if he should support his allies here in the middle. And this Borsig has kind of made a mistake here, right? He's put himself in the middle of the map where he has multiple lines of fire potentially on him, right? He's trying to brawl in a close quarter combat with a low, although the low's only on 128 HP. He has way better armor than he does, and this Hellcat takes a shot into that Borsig, right? So Jonas is just trying to help out his Borsig friend as best he can, and actually takes a shot, and whoa, wow, that's a great clutch shot there. Guess sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And takes out that Scorpion. So Jonas's team is just melting away right now, and as you notice, like 3 of his allies who tried to push down this 1 line just got murdered, right? It's that line is just, it's very difficult to push this side or the south side unless you have an overwhelming force where you can overpower the enemies and you're just fast enough to push all the way across, all the way through, and all the way through up here. That position, it's very difficult to push and win, right? And I think that's partly due to the hill here and just the positioning of this side, and then the hill up here especially. Very good defensive locations for the teams of that spawn. And Jonas has decided that he needs to go back and support his fallen flank. And I mean, right now they're in a 4v8 situation, down 4 tanks, down about 1500 HP as well. So smart decision is to come back to base and try to defend it. One thing that I would like to see from the allies in this situation is one person go to position over here to open up and create a crossfire between the 2 positions, the top of the hill and this corner here. And there's a lot of good bushes you can use here where you can double bush, so you can come out, spot someone, and then reverse so that the bushes are no longer transparent and you won't get spotted after you shoot. And it goes pretty far back where you can even back up all the way to the edge of the map where you can get a rock to cover you, so you can defend yourself against blind shots as well. So that's what I would like to see. One of them, probably the Charioteer. I would like to see him back here, since I mean, him or the T-25 too, one of them really. But I think that Jonas, his tank would be best suited up here since he has very good turret armor and good gun depression. Right there, he bounces a shot from the Chi-Ri and takes, and that Alright, hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about the audio kind of cut out there. But yeah, that T25-2 just makes a big mistake poking up so far over this edge here. What he should have done is done what Jonas is doing right now, is trying to wedge his tank against the cliff on the side here to try to see if he could spot, and not exposing more than just a sliver of his turret. He just went forward a little bit too far there. And I think the best thing for him, since he doesn't really have good armor, right, is just to let Jonas take that position and preserve his HP and just maybe look on the other side or potentially go over here, right? Might be a little bit too late to do that now, but yeah, that's an important thing, is understanding how much of your tank is being exposed. And there the M4 Revelarize makes a mistake. Well, he makes two mistakes. The first mistake he makes is poking out, right, against Jonas, who's obviously going to be camping that corner there. And second is when he did get spotted and he took the shot, he should have just accepted the fact that he was going to take a shot and just kept driving forward, right, and use the time in between Jonas's reload to move forward and close the distance to get under his gun line here, kind of like what this AMX did. Unfortunately for the enemies, this is a very good defensive location. And Jonas is using the tree here very well. He knows that he won't be able to spot them through the tree, so he moves slightly to the right, and there he gets a nice spot on the T20. And then this low, he also makes his way across the bridge and does a smart thing and doesn't even get spotted all the way until he pokes the hill and takes out our T25-2. So now Jonas takes out the light tank, who sat there exposed a little bit too far, right? I mean, I make that mistake a lot of times too, of just sitting still while trying to take out Artie and not considering the other possible angles that I could get hit by, right? And this charioteer just makes a huge mistake. Like, first of all, you're losing 2 tanks to 7, so, and you're giving up the high ground, which is the best advantage that you have, right? Is your positioning, right? The enemies have to climb up this entire hill in order to get shots on you. So there's no reason to leave the hill like he's doing right there, and there's no way that all 4 guns are not going to turn on you. And I like what Jonas does here, is he's shooting HE rounds at the low because he knows he's low HP, and the low has been sitting hull down for most of the battle. So although he only does 64 damage, he halves the low's HP, right? And he just needs another shot like that to finish him off. Unfortunately, Jonas exposes a little bit too much of his side armor, and the low puts 320 or 332 into the side of his tank. So now Jonas is focusing a little bit, tunnel visioning a little bit there. I didn't know that the Borsig from that position could hit Jonas, so I guess that's a useful thing to know for the future. Is that hill on the opposite side, you can get shots potentially on someone camping on this hill, and luckily Jonas bounces around from the Borsig. Borsig didn't really aim his shot very well. Now Jonas is just trying to move so he doesn't expose his cupolas for a long time. Make it an easy target for himself. And now he has 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, and clutch shots. Wow. I'm not sure if I would have clutch shotted there, because his reload would have meant, if he missed that shot, that the enemies would have capped out, right? So he gets a really nice reset, and then the T20 there just makes a big mistake. I'm not sure why he's sitting there. Jonas obviously can find a shot on him, and the M4 smartly gets off cap, but I mean the damage is really done, and he's only on 92 HP, so Jonas just has to rush him. And so M4 makes another mistake of shooting a heat round into the side of Jonas, which has a lot of spaced armor, and it gets absorbed. And unfortunately, there's only 10 seconds left, so Jonas is hoping that the GW is around this corner, but unfortunately he's not. And Jonas fires a shot in frustration, and he gets 14 kills, and it's a draw. Let's take a look at the post-game stats. Alright, here are the post-game stats. This was an ace tanker, and Jonas gets the Rezanai Heroes Medal, Defender, Steel Wall, and a Top Gun. And this is crazy. He gets 4,626 damage, 14 kills, and 1,164 base experience. Right? Thoroughly carried his team, as well as the FV4202 did a good job on his team. 26 shots fired, 23 direct hits, 18 penetrations. Right? So you can see that the accuracy is pretty good on this tank, and the hit ratio is way better than a tank like the IS-5 that I reviewed yesterday. Most of the damage that he had, pretty much all shots except for one, was close range. And he blocks 3,145 damage, which goes to show that the armor is pretty effective on this tank. And it also goes to show that Jonas did a good job of facing his frontal armor to the enemy, angling his armor, as well as staying hull down, right? And he was able to profit 108,000 credits, which is pretty great. So, unfortunately, it was a draw for Jonas, but this was an amazing replay. And let me know what you guys think of the 50 TP, as well as what's your favorite tier 8 premium heavy tank and premium tank in general. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as well as stay safe. We're out.